Finally po, nakita din nila na kung ano talaga ang true color of these people in Negros Oriental. While it took almost 6 months, if I am not mistaken, sinunod ang due process, pinag-aralan, tinignan, at parang walang ma-violate na due process habang tinitignan yung possibility of them as terrorists in our province. And finally, nagpapasalamat po talaga ako unang-una sa Panginoon. Nag-guide, nagbigay ng wisdom doon po sa mga miyembro ng Antiterrorism Council to make the right decision to tag this magkapatid na Teves along with the others. Dahil totoo po ang mga ginagawa nila, ang mga bagay na pang-aabuso na ginagawa nila sa Negros Oriental is really tantamount to that of a terrorist.
Let's get into that right now, because obviously, and I spoke with Attorney Ferdinand Topacio just a few minutes ago, they're not taking this sitting down. They're saying his client is not a terrorist. But let me ask you the same question that I actually asked him. Why? I asked him a while ago, why shouldn't his client be labeled a terrorist? I'm going to ask you the same, but conversely, why should he be considered a terrorist?
He should be considered a terrorist dahil napakadami ng ginawa nila. We are not just talking here of the March 4 incident na nangyari kay Governor along with the others. There are incidents that happened before the March 4 incident. Yung mga agaw ka ng lupa na hindi sa'yo, there are records there. Yung mga testimony ng mga namatayan, pinatay ng mga pamilya nila, and so many others po. Yung mga nahukay doon sa tulong, yung control nila sa tulong. Habang sinasabi ko po sa inyo yung reason why in my belief they should be tagged as terrorists, meron po kaming pinanghahawakan sa aming sinasabi. It is useless to tag someone to be such and such if hindi naman totoo. Anong mangyayari? Wala namang real justice doon kung pipili ka lang ng tao na sakalo sa mga ginawang kalukuhan. But in your heart, in our heart, dito sa Negros, sa mga pamilya ng biktima, alam namin yung mga nangyayari at ginagawa nila sa mga pamilya namin, mga inagawa nila ng lupa, yung mga inabuso nila, yung mga babarilin ka lang simply because ayaw mong ibigay yung negosyo mo sa kanila, ayaw mong ibenta yung negosyo mo sa kanila. Is that not tantamount to terrorism? Na-Senate hearing po yun lahat. At work out po yung mga kaso niyan. In fact, other cases have been filed already. The Atcan case have been filed already in Negros Oriental. So nakikita namin kahit mahina pero gumagapang yung wheels of justice.
Lang na balita, dineklarang terorista ng Antiterrorism Council si Negros Oriental 3rd District Representative Arnolfo Teves Jr. Pati ang anilay armed group ni Teves at tinawag nilang Tevesterroristgroup. Ayon sa Antiterrorism Council, nakitaan nila ng compelling evidence at factual incidents na sangkot si Teves na sinabi nilang leader at mastermind ng Teves Terrorist Group sa iba't ibang karahasan sa Negros Oriental.
So ngayon, dahil sa diniklara sila na terorista, ano pong mangyari kasunod? Ito pong mangyari kasunod. Ayon po sa batas ng Republic Act 11479 o yung tinatawag na the Antiterrorism Act of 2020 ay ibig sabihin magdudulot ito ng kaagad-agad na utos sa ATC na magsampa sa court sa AMLAC at ang AMLAC naman ay obligado na magpalabas ng freeze order. Ano yung freeze order? Yung freeze order ay kaagad puputulin o stop na, hindi na makapag-withdraw ng pera si Teves sa kanilang bank accounts, kahit anong bank accounts. Hindi na maka-withdraw. So kung hindi maka-withdraw, ibig sabihin, mawawala na siya ngayon ng kapangyarihan na gagamit ng pera para gagamitin niya laban sa pamahalaan na nagsisikap na hanapan ng katarungan ang pagkapatay kay dating Gobernador Ruel Ragay Digamo at siyang pang iba na kanilang pinatay.
Next, we have Ivan Myrina, GMA 7.
What happens now? What does the terrorist tag bring to Congressman Teves? For example, I know his assets will be frozen. Is he now considered a fugitive? What happens to his status as a legislator? Will his passport be cancelled?
Well, the next steps will have to be taken deliberately and purposefully. We will respectfully decline to answer what our next steps are going to be, so as not to telegraph the next moves of the government. No? But as for the assets to be frozen, I'd like to turn over the microphone to Attorney Luis Warren to explain a bit more about the procedure when it comes to the Anti-Money Laundering Council and what they do in times of designation.
The Anti-Money Laundering Council's issuance of a freeze order is based under the ATA's Section 25 in relation to Section 36. So upon the designation of an individual or organization, it is ministerial upon the part of the Anti-Money Laundering Council to issue an ex parte order to freeze without delay the assets of the subjects in this case. So that's all.
And joining us now is the lead legal counsel of Congressman Teves, Attorney Ferdinand Topacio. Attorney Topacio, good afternoon to you. Welcome to the program and thanks for joining us today.
Yes, good afternoon, Ma'am Permina. It's always a pleasure and thank you for this opportunity.
Let's get to the conversation now. Attorney Topacio, the ATC tagging your client a terrorist along with his brother and 11 other cohorts. Tell us why your client is not a terrorist.
Well, before I do that, I would like to state that it is not, this act on the part of the government is not unexpected. We have been expecting this all along because, for one, the Secretary of Justice has been announcing this from day one, practically day one of the investigation, that they will tag him as a terrorist. And I believe the reason why they came out with this now is because of their inability to gather any evidence against Representative Teves. All of the key witnesses have recanted. They have alleged threats, intimidation, violence in order to secure their previous testimony that they have recanted, and therefore faced with the prospect of a very weak, if non-existent case against Representative Teves, they have to save face and do something. In fact, last 27th of July, Secretary Rimulya already said that something momentous, or words to that effect, would be happening here, and we expected that to be this declaration.
So why, again, going back to my original question, why is your client not a terrorist? Why doesn't he deserve to be labeled a terrorist?
For one, the acts imputed to him, which I must emphasize had not even been proven, even at the stage of preliminary investigation. There is yet no resolution finding probable cause against him. While the Anti-Terrorism Act lays down certain acts which may be considered acts of terrorism, we must always remember that in the well-reasoned ponensya of Justice Carandang, it is clearly stated in Calleja versus Executive Secretary that in order for a person to be tagged as a terrorist, there must be a confluence of the acts, for instance, killing, death, serious bodily injury, with the mens rea or the intention of committing such an act, which is, and I will quote verbatim so that there will be no mistakes, intimidate the general public or a segment thereof.
The public. We speak here today on behalf of the Anti-Terrorism Council. The official spokesperson is Under Secretary Nicholas T, and I stand as the Deputy Spokesperson of the Anti-Terrorism Council. Thank you for joining us today on this important occasion. We are here to discuss a matter concerning our nation's safety and security. Today, the Anti-Terrorism Council, or the ATC, has taken a decisive step in the fight against terrorism. Based on probable cause and unwavering commitment, the ATC has officially designated individuals and groups that pose a grave threat to our nation's well-being. First, the Maute Group has long been identified as a terrorist organization, with ties to the ISIL and a history of violence culminating in the devastating Marawi siege in 2017. The designation of Hafida, Romato, Maute, and Nahara, Kahiria, City, Hamim as terrorists further solidify our resolve to combat terrorism at its roots. Additionally, we have designated Congressman Arnolfo A. Teves and his armed group, the Teves Terrorist Group, as terrorists. The decision comes after meticulous investigation into their violent activities that have caused harm to innocent lives in Negros Oriental, including that of Governor Roel Degamo. The Teves terrorist group's actions have sowed fear and intimidation among the residents of the province. The tragic incident on March 4, 2023, which claimed several lives and left many others injured, is a stark reminder of the threat posed by private armed groups within our country. The ATC's designation is not arbitrary, but based on compelling evidence and factual incidents in accordance with the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020. We, the ATC, have found probable cause to warrant these designations, covering offenses related to committing terrorism, planning, training, preparing, and facilitating terrorist acts, recruitment and membership in a terrorist organization, as well as providing material support to terrorists. The designation of the Maute Group and the Tevesterroristgroup as terrorists is a significant stride towards addressing the proliferation and emergence of private armed groups within our nation. By identifying and confronting these threats head-on, we reinforce our commitment to upholding law and order, safeguarding our citizens, and ensuring the prevalence of peace and security in every corner of our beloved country. The ATC's main objective is to combat terrorism and ensure the safety and security of our citizens. The Anti-Terrorism Act was enacted to empower the government in its efforts to prevent and respond to acts of terrorism effectively. It is essential to note that for as long as violent acts fall within the definition of terrorism, the government will not hesitate to designate individuals or groups as such, as mandated by law to protect the greater welfare of our nation. Our commitment to combating terrorism and its root causes remains unwavering. President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. had a vision for us, for a peaceful and progressive nation, and this is what drives the ATC forward in this endeavor. By designating these individuals as terrorist groups, we take significant steps towards combating impunity and holding those responsible for acts of terrorism accountable. Our nation's safety and well-being are paramount, and we will continue to work tirelessly to dismantle terrorist groups and safeguard our communities. We would also like to emphasize that the decision to designate individuals and groups as terrorists is not taken lightly. The Anti-Terrorism Council conducts thorough investigations and considers compelling evidence and factual incidents before making such designations. The process is governed by the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020 and adheres to the principles of due process and respect for the rule of law. Moreover, the designations made by the ATC are based on a separate and independent investigation. Together with our law enforcement agencies, we will work together and relentlessly in dismantling the organizations that seek to sow terror and chaos. We reaffirm our dedication to preserving the rule of law, protecting our citizens' rights and liberties, and creating an environment where all Filipinos can thrive without fear or intimidation. Thank you for your attention, and we remain steadfast in our pursuit of a peaceful and progressive Philippines. Thank you very much.